Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Scan for January 9th, 2019. I think I'm going to go over two alts this morning, as well as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin and Ethereum are just chopping around, so my attention is on a few alt flips right now. And what caught my attention is Bitcoin Cash SV, and this caught my attention for a few reasons. Well, first of all, I've caught the pump on this coin a few times, and it always pumps really hard, but regardless of that, first, what I did is I went to the daily, right? And I marked out this daily block. This daily block has been very significant. You can see it wicked down into this block one day, and then it pumped 70%. The next time it got down to this block, it pumped 58%. And now what I noticed is, let me delete this. It actually looks like some sort of bottom is forming on the daily chart, right above this daily demand. So why I came to that conclusion is take a look at the decrease of sell volume, right? It basically looks like the sellers are MIA. And if we compare that to the last time it pumped, again, look, it looks like the sellers are basically missing and then the buyers step in and pump it. Okay. So because it retraced even deeper this time, I'm leaning more bullish because it's also above this daily demand block. Also, if we go to the 4-hour, what I noticed is this little pump pattern on Bitcoin Cash SV. So basically what happens is it slowly bleeds out for a few days. In this example, it bled out for about 3 days, pumped. We got another 4 days, pumped a little bit, but really nothing significant. And now right here, we're at 3 days and 8 hours. And it looks like before any sort of notable movement, a bottom forms on the 4-hour. So that also supports my argument for the daily that a bottom has been found for Bitcoin Cash SV, at least short term, right? So I don't think this can look any better, to be honest. I think this is really going to pump. Only 2 out of the 4 of my bids have been filled, but I have a position size enough where if it pumps now, I will not be upset because I have a smaller position size, so I'm good there. I think this looks very good. Also, a ton of alts are pumping across the board. If we go to CoinMarketCap, let's see. It looks like none of the high caps really are moving too much. It looks like some of the mid to low caps are moving, but usually what you see is that money flow go to lower caps and then the higher caps. So I'm excited for this trade. I think it's going to go very well. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Did I go over the daily candle? I think I did, but let me just quickly go over it if I didn't. Basically, the daily candle looks very good to support my argument of a bottom being formed because of the decrease of sell volume. And then this bottom shows a struggle between bulls and bears. Typically, you find these candles at the bottom. I don't know if I can find an example on another chart right now, but I usually see these candles at the bottom. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if it actually does pump or if it's all just a dream. But the other alt I wanted to go over was ZRX because I do have a position in this still. I have not got stopped out. I'm a little bit underwater, but I'm really not too concerned about it for a few different reasons. First, let me do some TA here. I just want to start with a blank chart just to make sure I'm still seeing some good signs. So what I did is just marked out this high traffic area on the daily chart here. Okay, you can see it's been an important point on the daily chart. Right, so now we have tapped this for the 3rd time on the daily chart. Okay. So anywhere below, another 12%, yikes. I mean, I'm still comfortable in this. I don't think this is going to dump too much further, but of course I can be wrong. Any higher lows? Well, I guess there's a bit of a higher low here, but nothing too significant. Higher low here. Nothing too crazy, though. So again, another alt that's hitting the daily demand zone, just like Bitcoin Cash SV. So we need to see some sort of buy volume come through because we had a huge increase of sell volume here. Not very much buy volume. The sell volume has decreased, but the buy volume has also decreased. So it looks like both of those are MIA, unlike Bitcoin Cash, where it's just the sell volume that's MIA, and it's just been bleeding for 3 days. So I'm not worried about ZRX either. If it starts to fall below this demand zone, which I guess is another 12%, which will not be fun, but that's probably when I'll cut it off. But because alts are pumping right now, I could see this going for a run as well. The only thing I don't like really is this rounded top on the daily. That's not very good. So if it doesn't bounce here, actually I'll start to get concerned if it doesn't bounce here in the next few days. So I'm going to keep my eye on ZRX. I may dump this earlier than expected, but I'll keep my eye on that. And now let's go over Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum, we did have a nice short scalp a few hours ago. All I did there was ladder my asks here because it was the first test of this strong resistance area. You can see this high traffic area here. And if I were to drag this box over on the daily, or I'm sorry, on the 1 hour, 4 hour, all that stuff, you could see that this was a high traffic area here. And because Ethereum has been showing so many upper wicks without many stop hunts, I thought, it would be safe to run a fairly larger position size and then just keep a relatively tighter stop because we haven't seen many stop hunts at all on Ethereum. Like, these highs are still untouched. This high is untouched. These highs are still untouched. So I felt comfortable in that position. It hit both of the take profits, which is a nice plus 2% on the account. It looks like this is about to pump again, actually. The low, higher, low, higher, low. So maybe I made long that. With a stop below here. Yeah, actually, I think when I wrap this video up, I'm going to long that. I've been seeing this little pattern around before things start to pump. You have your initial low with wicks, your higher low, no lower wick, or very little to no, and then another higher low with very little to no lower wick. So what would be nice about that trade is I could long it, I don't know, maybe here with a stop here. Risk 0.5% of my account and just go right where we put those asks last time. I think that would be a decent trade. But anyway, that's how I did that short scalp a few hours ago. I was pretty worried that we didn't hit the take profit here. Well, I was slightly worried. And then we got some sort of bounce here, but the hanging man on the 15-minute really solidified that this is going to dump again. Of course, hindsight, right? But I did notice this hanging man here. So after that, I wasn't too worried, and I knew we would hit our take profits. And if you don't know what a hanging man candle is, just type it up in Google. Look at Investopedia, I think it's called, .com. And they give a good description of a hanging man. But basically, it signals the top or the bottom of some sort of trend. You can use it on any time frame, really. Well, 15-minute plus. I don't really use lower time frames than that, so that's the only time frames I can vouch for. Lastly, Bitcoin. Let's see what's going on here, because I haven't looked at Bitcoin since I got back to the computer. Let's look at the 4 hour. So I did mark out the daily open. Of course, I have the weekly open here. We're seeing a series of higher lows again on Bitcoin, which leads me to believe this is going to have another leg up again. I'm watching still these highs here, the 42.30 to the 42.65 area. If it does have another leg up, but if the series of higher lows fail and it closes below the daily open, that will really solidify the dump that will be impending after that. But as long as it holds the higher lows, I think this could still go. Although I'm not very interested in trading Bitcoin just because of the wicks are just insane. Sure, you have the same wicks on Ethereum, but they're not as exaggerated, which is why I'll be trading Ethereum for the next few days until it's less choppy on Bitcoin. But anyway, so we do see the higher lows here right into this support and resistance flip. See? Resistance or support, resistance, dump, resistance. Now we're at support again. Okay, so I think really the most important area is the weekly open. If we can reclaim this and start trading above it, that will be pretty bullish in my opinion. But again, we can't forget that the daily chart took out two highs, or the daily candle yesterday took out highs from the last 2 days. So I would have honestly expected a dump sooner, but there really is no time limit. As long as it dumps in the next 7 hours, then my original argument is correct. But at the same time, I really don't see a clear direction here. Sure, we have some higher lows, but at the same time, the highs on the daily were taken from the last 2 days, right, with a very strong rejection. Look at this. Right into the hourly block. I think I went over this yesterday, but let me just show it again. This hourly block here. So the only untapped highs we have that price is close to is right here. It's really tough to say what direction this is going to go, to be honest. That's why I'm going to trade Ethereum, which of course it's correlated, but the price action is much cleaner. And also, if a 4-hour closes below 39.60, I think it's pretty much dead, and this is going to dump. So if a 4-hour candle does close below 39.60, I'll be taking a short with a stop above the weekly open, most likely. And then this would be a swing trade targeting the range low here, so 35.30. I mean, that's just going to be a no-brainer trade. And then I think if the weekly open is reclaimed, I'll probably take a long with a stop below the daily open, maybe, and target that. Of course, take profit 1 will be here, but my final take profit will be somewhere up here. I feel like that's a little risky, though, because I really don't see how this can go much longer, because the daily looks pretty bad and lower time frames look pretty bad too. Volume has just been missing for the last however many days, right? This has just been a low volume pump since here. So all of this liquidity down here, it's just going to be a crazy pump when it happens. I think it'll be a very hard dump. Oh wait, did I say pump? It'll be a very hard dump, I believe, just because of all the liquidity down here. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Really, the only prices that matter, in my opinion, are 39.60, and the only time frame that matters, along with the only prices that matter, is 39.60. If a 4-hour closes below there, absolutely short. And if a 4-hour closes above the weekly open, maybe long, maybe risk like 0.3 of the account in long. Not sure if I'll take that, but if we close above the weekly open again, I could see some more bullish momentum here. But my overall bias is bearish. Everyone who's saying 5K is nuts, but maybe I'm the crazy one. Who knows? That's all I have this morning, I believe. Went over the alts. I'm very excited about Bitcoin Cash SV. We'll see if it actually pumps. But other than that, I think that's everything I want to talk about this morning. If you guys have any questions, as always, please feel free to ask.